everyone, it's Christine. Happy New Year, happy 2025. I'm Christine from Hollis Hands Create, and welcome to my channel. This is a channel about cross stitch and sometimes some of my other crafty endeavors, but primarily about cross stitch. If you've wandered into my space, I hope that you'll stay and find something to be inspired by. And if you're a returning viewer, subscriber, thank you so much for joining me again this year. And hopefully you'll also be inspired. Thank you again. So let's see what all's been happening. So December 21st was the last time that I chatted with everyone. And so I'm trying to get a little bit closer to getting back to the end of the month so I can kind of do end of the month wrap-ups. So I'll kind of go through some of those things. We'll talk about a little bit of a 2024 recap and some plans for the next quarter of 2025. And I have a giveaway, and also I've got some things that I want to show you and probably share with you if anyone is interested as well. So let's get to it. We had lots of family here. First airplane retrieval was December 20th, and then we had, let's see, the very next day, I believe the 21st, we had family arrive from Rhode Island, and they stayed for a week. And then they left, they left like on Saturday night. They had an overnight flight back to the East Coast, or a red-eye flight back to the East Coast. And then my sister-in-law and her husband arrived about a day and a half later from Indiana, and they stayed with us through the New Year and left last Friday. So for basically 2 weeks, we had, people in the house for the holidays, and it was good. It was the first time that my husband's cousins from Rhode Island had been to this house, and the first time that his sister and her husband had been to this house. Not to say that they didn't ever come to visit, but we've moved so much since 2013 when we left Pennsylvania. We've been in 5 houses, so it's hard to catch up with us. But we had great visits and really enjoyed that time. I hope everyone, whatever you celebrate, I hope that you got some nice family time and some good time in as well. Let's see, what else happened? Then we went through the New Year. We had the 3rd ever blizzard here in Kansas City. That was fun. We had about 12 hours of sleet first, and then the snow started. And here at our house, we ended up with, I'd say, a good 1/4 inch to maybe even a 1/2 inch of ice, and then about 11.5 inches of snow on top of that. The temperatures plummeted from the 50s, which we were in, right through the New Year, down to the single digits. And we did rebound, I believe, maybe yesterday, because Thursday night we got another 2 to 3 inches of snow, and then yesterday we did get up to like maybe 32, 33. Today I think we're supposed to be to 33. So hopefully that begins the melting process, but it is just January, so we'll see. Here in Kansas City we get all 4 seasons, and sometimes we can get all 4 seasons in like the span of a week or 2. So and speaking of weather and things like that, I want to send prayers out to all of the LA fires victims, whether it be a lost house, a lost job, anything like that. Just going through this experience, I can't even imagine. And I just want to send all my my good thoughts and prayers. I've done a couple of donations to a couple different sites, and we'll continue to try to do so. They'll need our support for a long time, as do all of the natural disaster victims that seem to happen more and more commonly every year. People in North Carolina I know are still recovering. People in Florida are still recovering. So anyway, I just hope that we all remember each other and try to reach out to take care of each other. Okay, let's dive into my 2024 recap. So in 2024, what I do is I go from the prior year. I use the Book of Days from Needlework Press. And on this page, I go in and I list all of the WIPs that I'm carrying forward from the prior year. So WIPs going into 2024 were 52. Quite a few of those were part of stitch-alongs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of them were either assignments or stitch-along group stitches. I only finished 4 of those WIPs. That's kind of sad. I did have 24 finishes overall, but if you'll remember, if you've been, following my channel for a little while, I did the last quarter of, especially in October and a chunk in November, of smalls. I just concentrated on smalls. So I did get 24, finishes overall. And in just a second, I'll show you what my last finish of the year was. Let's see, and then I'll show you that, but I'll try to insert maybe just a quick little recap, pictures wise, of all of those finishes. I might not have all of those. I know I gifted one to my daughter, and some I believe are in the finishing package that I just packed up to send out for some finishing. So I'll just try to insert pictures if I can to show those. The lesson learned: quit starting so many things. I'm really making in 2025 a concentrated effort to go to my WIPs and shop in my WIP basket, right, for a fresh start, or obviously not a new start, but a fresh start, and get some things finished. I don't want to carry over this many things into 2026. And it was very startling to me when I got my 2025 Book of Days, and I went to the back page to begin to write out all of my WIPs going into 2025. And holy mackerel, it's 54. 54. Crazy. So I went through all of those. I looked at my kitted things, and I picked out quite a few to get started on for the next 3 months to concentrate on getting some finishes. Let's talk about that plan. Okay. So I'm gonna start and show you with what I had done since we last filmed, which I think one of them I haven't even picked up since I last showed you, but I'll show it to you anyway. Again, you might be new to my channel. Yes, on the 21st is the last time that I filmed, and the last day that I had stitched on Winter Moon from Plum Street Samplers was the 20th. So you probably will see this again, and it'll look just like it did before last time I showed it. But this one is getting hopefully finished in this season. So I have till what, March 20th to get this finished. So here is Winter Moon from Plum Street Samplers, stitched on 40 count Saltbush from Fox and Rabbit. Very, very pretty design from Paulette. Part of a series. 3 have been released. Winter, summer, and spring. And I believe she's going to try to release autumn at market. At least that's the last plan that I heard. So that's what I did right up until I filmed last time, December, and then we had family in. I did not do any stitching for a couple of days, and then on Christmas Eve, I decided that I wanted to get in one more small. I had watched Sean, Periwinkle Stitcher, and I'm sure you probably follow her, watch her. She's extremely inspirational. And she had shown several little shepherd's bush kits. And I thought, you know, I think I have a couple of those. And I did. So I want to show you. I'll put this up against something just so it looks. One of the ones that I got out and had a new Christmas start and finish. And it's called the Mary Bee Sampler. It's in the kit from Shepherd's Bush. Came with all the goodies. And here is my finish. And by the way, I'm sure most of you know this, but in case you don't, when I say WIP, that means works in progress. Work in progress. We got into a discussion on one of my chats about what does a WIP mean. And several have decided that they like the idea of putting a WIP in hibernation. I think that's pretty cute. But needless to say, I am listing out all of my WIPs, whether they're in hibernation or not. And because if I want to shop, you know, from them to get a fresh start, when I start getting kind of weary of something, I need to have them listed. So there they are. So I'll be sending that one off. I believe I'm going to send that off to my finisher, because in the kit, all the ribbon and the pins and everything to do the ruching, all that was included. I'm not very good at that. I tried it on a couple of pillows and it didn't look so hot, so I'm just going to send it off and have it done professionally, and it'll come back and I'll be very happy. Okay, so that was a quickie, and that was finish number 24 for the year. So then I pulled out, I wanted to kind of do a Christmas Day start. I didn't actually start this one exactly on Christmas Day. It was actually kind of in the middle of the night between Christmas night and the next day, because I was up late and the house was quiet. Everybody was finally asleep, and I just stayed up and started the Noel sampler. I've had this kitted for a long time, and it always keeps getting pulled out to be a potential start. And I thought, you know what, this is it. I'm doing it. I'm starting it. So there's the Noel sampler. And this is from Brenda Gervais of With Thy Needle and Thread. Very popular, beautiful sampler. And my plan for stitching the Noel sampler is to make it my 25th of each month stitch. So I went ahead and I did stitch on this one from the 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th of December. And here's my progress. And I'm stitching this on a 40 count Wabi Sabi sugar cookie from Shakespeare's Peddler. You see that? Really, really lovely. And I'm just using the DMCs, which, oh, yep, DMC is what it's called for. So there we go. And I really, you can see there's just some, you know, really light, soft modeling that'll be in it, which will lend a really nice kind of prim look to it. So there's my 4 days of stitching on that one. It was hard to get some stitching in because when you have, you know, people here, and there were nights that we were, you know, playing cards and watching football and things like that. So, but I did get in some stitching. So that'll be going forward. Those two things will, Noel sampler again will be stitched, be my 25th of the month stitch each month, and depending upon where I am progress wise with my other things, you know, I may do maybe 2 or 3 days, not just the 25th, but we'll see how, you know, the other things that I have lined up to do and how those are going. So you're seeing those two things, Winter Moon, which I hope to have done by March 20th, and Noel sampler. So those are carrying forward, so they get added to the calendar for January. I'm pulling my calendar out and have it open so you can see where I'm going with this. And I went into all my pages and I just did stickies this time. I thought, you know, I'm not going to just totally commit in ink pen, but as I was mapping out my plan, you know, I had a sticky on each month, and I just kept going and kind of working things out and looking to see what, you know, I had in my whips. And I do, you know, like being a seasonal stitcher. So I know that I'm going to want to stitch in season. So I thought, all right, let's pull those and let's pull them forward and figure this out. But I also, for the first time, decided I want to do a blessing sampler, inspired by Carol, Saltbox Stitcher. She, every year, you know, is monogamous in January with what she picks, and you know, that makes it, I guess, you know, a blessing sampler. And I've seen where several others have done the same. And so I had shown this in December as one of the considerations, and this is definitely the one that I ended up picking. Several of you commented that you loved this one as well and thought it would be fitting. The Sally Spencer sampler from Birds of a Feather. And a lot of the reason that I was drawn to it is because along the bottom it says, sooner begun, sooner done. And that's kind of how I feel about my stitching right now. I'm never going to get these whips done unless I actually get them out and do them. So let me show you my progress. I did get to stitch, let's see, I started it on the 1st. We still had company here. So I started it on the 1st. And then the 2nd, I did not get to stitch because we were playing cards until, like, I don't know, after midnight. And so then I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days stitching so far. And this is my progress. And I'm stitching Sally on 40 count Heartland from Picture This Plus. And if you look closely, you'll see I have made a change or so. So it does say here, wrought by, and then it says Sally Spencer. Well, I decided, I am probably going to put wrought by in here, but I decided to do Sally and then Christine. And then I have the date that she did at 1821, and I'm going to have to fit in along here somewhere in here, and I haven't decided just where yet, 2025. I looked up the hashtag for Sally Spencer on Instagram just to kind of see, you know, what people had been doing, and I saw where a lot of people did it, you know, as it was charted, Sally Spencer. A lot of people put their own name in, a couple people put initials in, you know, that kind of thing, and I thought, you know, I want to honor Sally, but I also want my name in here, since this is my blessing sampler for 2025. And so I fit in both, and it's going to say wrought by Sally and Christine. So I'm really loving it. It's a little fiddly, a lot of, you know, changes thread changes. I'm not loving necessarily how the W is ghosted out, because she used buttermilk. And if you look, you know, at the sampler, you know, you can see that the different letters are ghosted out. So I am going to change up. So you're supposed to have the T here be in that buttermilk color. I'm going to switch it with Brethren Blue, and I'm going to put the T over here in buttermilk, or the letter over on this side, which is N, in buttermilk, because the darker, there's a darker chunk of the dye, the modeling here, and I think that'll show up better. So I'm going to play a little bit with that, and I kind of wish I would have done the same with the W, but by the time I had it already in there, I was like, I'm not taking it out. And when you're looking at it in person, you know, you see it fine, and I am going to be the one who sees it. So anyway, so that's to be finished by the end of this month. I hope to actually have it be finished by the end of this next week, because I got other things to get moving on. It only calls for 6 gentle art threads. Mine are kind of a mess because I was cherry picking certain colors out of a couple of the strands. Only 6. So, yeah, hopefully I'll be blessed. My needle will be blessed, right? What's next? Next on the list. Okay, so I have an assignment, a new assignment group that I'm going to be stitching with. I was invited by a friend to join the group that is starting Humming of the Bees from Blackbird Designs, and I already had it all kitted up. And I said, sure, of course, sign me up. So Humming of the Bees is going to get, it's a fairly small assignment for January, so I think I can probably get it done. I am going to be stitching on Lucia, 40 count Lucia, which is from Tropical Stitches. I think that's going to look really nice on there. And I ordered all of the Vicki Clayton silk, her conversion, her kit. And as you know, I put my little bobbins into these little containers, and then I just put the little conversion sheet that she includes in on top, and it makes it very easy to pop it right open and pull out the spool I need. But I can see, because they're all with the numbers on the top and the names, I can see exactly what I need when I need it really quickly. So very handy. So that's on tap in January as well. Humming of the Bees, and I have it residing in my beautiful bag that was made by a friend, Jennifer. She's a beautiful stitcher and a beautiful sewer. Then I have one last assignment stitch that I have to get an assignment finished on. This one was started with a group of ladies to celebrate Yvette Gonzalez, her birthday. And let's see, I don't think I've done anything on this since I last saw you either, because I had worked on it until December 19th, and then I haven't picked it up. So this is the same as it was when I showed it to you last month, but I want to show you what all I've got on tap. So we're supposed to finish this, I believe, by May. Now, a couple have already gone ahead and finished it up. But here's that'll be cranking along. That's Dwelling Place by Teresa Kogut. I'll show that to you here. I kind of did that backwards. Dwelling Place. Teresa Kogut. Very, very pretty. Yvette chose very well for her birthday start. And then I have 2 things left to show you for January. I have been working on this Paradigm Found Long Dog Sampler for forever and a day. And when I started it, it was just a start. I had no plans to do like one a day, however, whatever. I just started it. It was during the pandemic. And when Jules actually came out with the pandemic sampler. And I had bought that. And then when I got to looking at her different designs, I actually ran across this Paradigm Found, and I really loved it. So this is the one I ended up starting. But then, you know, it ended up languishing forever. So I think 2 years ago, I decided, well, you know, it's just with one thread. I use Current, which is one of my here, I'll show that to you up against something here in a second. One of my very favorite gentle art threads. And I'm sorry, this is kind of awkward. I have this on 40 count Lakeside pecan butter. And it's on a 1/2 yard. So it's basically like wrangling a bed sheet. And I'm trying to get back to, or get it to where I know how far to go up, and I'm going to cut the linen. I didn't want to cut it until I knew exactly where I needed to cut it. And so anyway, back to what I'm doing. So 2 years ago, I started, okay, let's do 1 thread a day. Well, it became like 1 thread a week, and then a thread now and again, you know, kind of a thing. But I went from a tiny little start to, you know, some progress. And this year I thought, all right, this is ridiculous. I am making a point to first thing in the morning, sink a thread. And so far I have done it. And I made it past Quitters Friday. Yesterday was Quitters Friday. That's what they say for all the people who do the New Year's resolutions. But anyway, this is absolutely gorgeous. I just really love it. And like I said, I went shooting up the corner. This is the top motif. I need to just carry the box up and around so I can see where that goes, and then measure up a couple inches and then cut it off. So the next time I show you, I should have it cut off, and then I'll have a nice chunk of this gorgeous linen to put back into my stash for other project consideration. It's probably one of my all-time favorite linens from Lakeside. It is just so beautiful. So there's my progress there. I'm going to hold this up so you can see that there's gorgeous variation in Current. It's really pretty. So, okay. And last but not least, I know you're going, there's no way you're going to stitch all this in January, but I'm going to give it my best. Of course, Winter Moon, I have longer time. Noel Sampler, I only really have to do 1 day if that's all I want to do. Oh, and I just fibbed again. Sorry. Friday nights. How could I forget where we go on Friday night? Hawk Run Hollow. I am stitching Shores and Autumn are the 2 projects that I have going. So I just switched back to Shores, and I decided to stitch on Shores from January to June, and then in July I'm going to switch over to Autumn. And so this is the Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. And I am stitching it with the called for NPIs. And last night we did have our stitch group, but I didn't make a whole lot of progress because I spent a chunk of my time frogging, which made me remember why I had chunked this thing aside, is because I knew I screwed up where I put the tree in, and I gave it 2 extra lines in the trunk, which of course, you know, messed up everything. So I had to, last night I had to frog out. I had all the branches and everything up here. So I had to frog all that out and put it back in. So I did this, and then just the 2 branches going out to the side. And then I went up and kind of started on the windows. And then, you know, as we're talking and everything, you know, I ended up having to frog out part of the one window again. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. So I got out the black and I just started down the line doing the block lines. I just am not going to be able to work on one of these on a Friday night unless it's where I've set it up so that I can just do fill in or continuous stitching. Just, it's too easy to make mistakes. But here's where I am. I should already be finished with block 3, but I'm not. I'm a little behind. And so that's the progress for Shores and the plan for doing my Friday nights at Hawk Run. I just, you know I'm going to want to stitch on autumn in the fall. And so I'm just going to have to take my stitching urges and work them into the plan so that they work for me and I'm still getting progress. Okay. And the last thing I want to do, because I really enjoyed doing all the little smalls, is I decided to pick a small to do in a month that I really would like to have for the following month. Does that make sense? So this month, January, I picked the February Wordplay, and I apologize, I didn't take it out of the plastic. Anyway, February Wordplay. I'm sure everybody has seen these. These are charts that have been around for, let's see, copyright was 2011. And I'm going to do this for February. And I'm just going to make it into a pillow, so if I can get it finished, which should be a quick little finish, then I can have it for the next month. And then I'll show you when I go to the next month's plans, what I'm hoping to pick in February to stitch for March, and kind of keep going like that. So I'm getting some smalls, you know, finished as well. Now, I think she calls for Abecedarian, which I do have some Abecedarian, but I really wanted to do something a little more pink. So I pulled out some ballet slippers. And I've got part of the threads here. I do not have all the threads, but I've got part of the threads. Buckeye Scarlett goes in here as well. But I'm going to pull my Buckeye Scarlett out of my Blessing Sampler because it's in that one. And I'll just bring it to this one whenever I need to stitch, because I'm going to have them out at the same time. So I really like that ballet slippers, but I also did pull, I don't know, this is called Embarrassed. Let me show you. And this is a Wabi Sabi. And it's kind of a brown with blush overtones. And since, you know, Brenda does call for kind of a brown linen, I thought, well, so I'm gonna work on maybe putting a couple of threads into each one of these and then decide. I don't know. I've carried this Embarrassed around to different windows in the house to kind of get a feel for it. So I'm not sure. But anyway, I've got those two set up with Wordplay. And I want to try to get that finished as well for next month. And if it wraps a little over into February, that's okay too, because it's still, you know, my seasonal stitching kind of thing that I want to do. Whew, that was a lot for January. We'll see how I go. Wish me luck. Here, I know you're probably like, you're nuts. Okay. So February, again, I went to my whip list and I pulled everything would be whips. Everything I'm working on would be a whip, with the exception of whatever small that I try to pick to do for March. So let me just show you real quick what I've got on tap. You already saw Winter Moon. You saw Noel sampler. And you saw my Friday nights at Hawk Run. So what, oh, and Dwelling Place. You saw Dwelling Place as well. So those are all carrying forward from January. So the first WIP that I picked that I want to get finished, which I should get finished because this was something that we'd seen at market last year and decided we really loved and decided to stitch it. And I really should get it finished before I go back to market this year. This is Rejoice, Always Rejoice. This is from LaDDa. It's very sweet. And I'm stitching on 40 count Butterscotch Baby from Wabi Sabi. This is Shakespeare's Peddler, London. Very, very, very sweet. So I want to get that finished. And I think I can get that one finished fairly easy. That border is what takes so long because it's real, you know, lots of vining and that kind of thing. But only four skeins. Really pretty colors. Really, really pretty colors. So that hopefully will be a finish in February. No reason that it should not be a finish in February, right? This will not be a finish in February, but I do want to actually get some good progress on it. At least more progress than what I've given it, more love than I've given it in the past. This is Mrs. Campbell from Hands Across the Sea Samplers. The perfect Valentine sampler with those hearts in the border. Just beautiful. And there's where I am. And I believe I'm stitching this on, hey, here's my project card. I think it's 46 count Shadow, which is a Victorian motto linen. But it's really pretty. And I'm using the DMCs. So that one will get some love in February. And I am kind of taking the time to put a little bit of this back into some order so I don't end up with just a huge mess. And the third WIP that I pulled to add to this, which I would love to get a finish on, but we'll see how it goes, is the Happy Hearts sampler from Birds of a Feather. This is now widely available through Colorado Cross Stitcher, since she's obtained permission to rechart. I am stitching mine on 40 count Old Massachusetts, 40 count Old Massachusetts from the Primitive Hair. And this is still in the Q-snap. I never took it out last year. There's my progress. I did put in my birth year, along with my husband. He's 2 days older than me. We were both born in 1964. So that's my progress on that one. So that's what I'm adding. Everything else is going forward. I should be able to get Rejoice Always for sure finished. Then I will, because I'll start with that one first. Then I'll go to Happy Hearts. And then probably Mrs. Campbell. We'll see on Mrs. Campbell because I'll need to also make sure I'm getting in Dwelling Place. So those two will be the next two, but I also have Winter Moon in there. So Just got to make sure I'm dedicating enough time. So I'm not going to say, oh, it's 4 days on this and 3 days on that. I'm not going to do that, but just going to, you know, make sure that my time is allocated hopefully correctly in order to get those. The small that I want to do in February that would be a finish for March will be from this book, the Jellybean Jubilee, which is from With Thy Needle and Thread. She came out with this in 2021. And everything in here is just the sweetest. There's 7 designs to stitch. So I have kitted it with, you know, all of the colors needed. And I picked 40 count Newcastle, or 40 count Boardwalk from Color and Cotton to use. And I've got enough here that if I want to do all 7 designs, I can. And so I will be picking, I'm thinking I'm going to do Easter Parade. Let me see if I can show that to you. Which one specifically, without showing you the graph. This one here. Can you see that? I hope you can see that. On the front, it's this one. It's only 32 high, 65 by 32. And I've been wanting to stitch this forever, something from this book, and I just haven't done it. So that will be what I pick. I could potentially pick another one for the next month, you know, for April, but we'll see. I don't stitch a lot with shamrocks and things like that for March. So I will really probably do more of a spring type finish, but you know, we'll see. I have another bag out that I can also pull from, that I also have kitted, which is from Lila Studios, and it's the Spring Parade. I saw these when she brought them to market 2 years ago. Oh, they were just absolutely adorable. I have this one started, but I wasn't liking the color that I picked for the carrot, and so I may redo that. So I could pick something from there as well. We'll see how it goes. But here we go. So I'm going to run through March real quick, and that's as far as I'm going to take it, because I want to be able to see, did I do what I said I wanted to do? What adjustments do I need to make? And, you know, that kind of thing. So in March, and you've heard me talk about this, that I really would like to do a sampler spring. I'm not good about stitching in September because by that point, all I want to do is stitch fall. And so I decided to do sampler spring. So in March, I'm going to launch into sampler spring. I could keep this is the beauty of Mrs. Campbell. She's a sampler. I could keep her going into March as well. And she's a whip. As long as I'm getting progress on these whips, it makes me happy. The next one that I pulled out to also be a focus in March for my sampler spring is Eliza Hill's. She's really a beauty. And this is from Handwork. Yeah, it's Mary Briggs. I can't remember exactly if it was if the name of her company at the time was just, yeah, it's just Handwork by Mary Briggs, out of Virginia. It's English sampler, and I think it's just really, really beautiful. And let me see, I'm running out of space. If you could see what's in front of me, you'd be laughing. Ooh, what a mess. Get this on the board so I can show you easily enough. Okay, and this is where I was too when I started it this last year in 2024. Border done, one little corner. So Eliza Hill's will be a focus for my sampler spring. I received this chart as actually part of one of the estate, I don't know what you want to call it. I had, you know, an estate of a stitcher who the sister had called to ask if I would be interested, and I drove up to Iowa and you know, and got everything, and that chart was in there. I have loaned it out to one person who stitched it really quickly, Clara, and she sent it right back. And but it is signed by Mary, so I'm you know, not inclined to, you know, give it away permanently. But anyway, it's beautiful. The other one that I pulled out to be a focus is the whip, is Jane Cowey. Beautiful sampler from the Scarlett house. She's gorgeous. I saw that model in person at market and just absolutely fell in love with it. And let me show you my progress. And there's my progress. I'm using the NPIs for Jane. And I really, really love her. I just love the colors in the border. This color palette really speaks to me. It's my jam. Gorgeous. I'm stitching this on, let me see. Stitching it on Bush T, 36 count. And she's the designer, or the dyer is from Australia. And anyway, Bush T. She has an Etsy shop. And it's just beautiful. I'll try to put all the notes, you know, the information down in the notes down in the description box for you. Or if you've got any questions, you know, about anything that I'm showing, you know, definitely feel free to send me an email or, you know, message. I do try to go back and read comments. Sometimes I'm pretty good about it and sometimes I'm not so good, but I do go back and try to always read everything and at least give it a heart, or, you know, something like that, so you know that I've paid attention to what you've had to say. Okay. All right, so okay, so then March will probably also bring the beginning of my spring moon. And let me see where I have it. Hang on just one minute. Okay. Spring moon. Winter moon should be finished. I will be ready to pick up spring moon from Plum Street. And I have a itsy bitsy tiny little start from this past March. So it's done on the called for baked clay. And that will be in March as well. So rolling forward, I hope to have Happy Hearts and Rejoice Always finished. I will roll forward with probably Mrs. Campbell. Hopefully a finish or close to a finish of Winter Moon. I'll have my Hawk Run on Fridays. And Humming of the Bees and Noel sampler, the Noel sampler of the 25th. Humming of the Bees, I'll have a new assignment to do. And but Humming of the Bees is actually not a very big design. So each of the assignments, we have 13 assignments, and each one of them are actually pretty easy, pretty manageable. Okay. Wish me luck. We'll see what I can do. My goal overall is just to get through some of these whips. I do not want to have the same number or higher than I did, you know, the last 2 years where I kept carrying them forward and carrying them forward. These are gorgeous things. I love them all. There's a reason I started them. I need to finish them. Now, that's not to say I haven't done some purchasing. I did get Let It Snow by Bernice Gervais. And I think I might have had this last month and I just forgot to show it, but it's appropriate for this time of the year. Let It Snow. I believe the last kit that we were getting from the Circle of Friends club with the silver needle drawn thread. It's a Stitcher's Garden. Can you see that? I don't want to take this out of plastic because it's got all the goodies and everything in the back as well. So, but anyway, it's called the Stitcher's Garden. I did get this one. One of the ladies from this design company just passed away. And so Hoffman had sent out an email and I saw that. And so I thought, you know what, I had always kind of loved this one and I just never purchased it. So I went ahead and purchased it. It's an American sampler. It's, you know, it's done a little bit in the Rhode Island American style with the 2 pots and the flowers, and you got a little bit of the bands, which is, I really love that. So there's an American sampler, and it's only 181 by 231. So I did get that. And let's see, I believe that is it. I think I probably, you know, I don't buy a tremendous amount of charts, but I do love me some linen. And I do think I might have gotten some linen, or I have linen on the way for sure. So next time I'll show you some linens. So I'm talking about whips, right? And getting rid of whips. I want to show you, because I was also talking about the estate that I had picked up. And I want to share these if anybody is interested. These were some things that are finished or look to be close to being finished. And if it's something that you're interested in, please message me and I will send this to you. The first one is Coco Pelli Christmas. It's the design, and it's Lone Deer, which is Sonagoli's Designs, American Indian counted cross stitch pattern. And Betsy had stitched it on 18, looks like 18 or 20 count blush Ada by Zweigart. I believe this is finished. If you would like to have this, the first person to message me is who I will send it to. It probably needs some washing, I would think. It appears to be a little dusty. All of these things were in a tub. So anyway, first person, you know, to message if you were interested in that. I'd love to pass it along. Anything that I have left from this go around, because I need to get through all of this stuff that I got from her. I'm also going to take to a couple of the retreats that I have for this year and just, you know, put out on the table. I won't frame that one. It doesn't match my aesthetic, but I appreciate the stitching and the time that went into it. And I think that if it's something that you would love and you'd like to frame and put it up, then, you know, I'd rather pass it on, because I sure don't want it to just languish somewhere in a box or end up in the trash. The next one is A Perfect Setting. This is part of that house series that is it Barbara and Cheryl? I think, isn't that the name of it? Yeah, by Barbara and Cheryl. Beautiful. This one, I believe, might have just a few stitches that still need to be put in. Right in the center of the tree in front of the house here, looks like it's missing a few stitches, and it looks like a few stitches on the house potentially. In the back she put all of her charts into these page holders. in the back, there's these linens, there are these threads left. And I think when you look at the design, it looks like probably these are the threads that are needed, that are left to be sunk in. I mean, it's literally, it couldn't be more than, you know, 30 stitches, 35 stitches. So if this is something that you would be interested in finishing and keeping and hanging or whatever, or gifting, the first person to message me about a perfect setting. The other one, if you want to just refer to it maybe as the American Indian Christmas, something like that, just so that you identify for sure which one you're talking about. It's actually the Kokopelli Christmas. And then the last one, I don't even have an actual picture of, because it's this packet of all of these flosses, DMC flosses, looks like, and then the chart. But I will show you, because you'll get a good idea when you see this, if I'm holding it the right way. Look at that. Gorgeous. And this is on, it's definitely on like a flax type linen, but it's very soft. It's definitely Zweigart, so it's probably like a 32 count Belfast natural. And it's a whip. It's a whip that needs to be finished. It looks to me as if everything is in this kit to finish, but I can't promise that. I'm just trying to pass this along. This is what's going to happen if we don't get these whips done. So anyway, I thought I'd give you that opportunity. That one looks like it's dragons, so if you want a first person to message me referring to the dragons whip, then I will send that to you as well. And let's see, let me kind of look through my list. What all have I got here? Well, it looks like we got to do the giveaway of the smalls. And I brought my iPad in so I could do a quick search and random picker. All right. The smalls were all these older charts again, from the same stitcher. I showed you these last time. The Lizzie Kate Flip It, the Bent Creek, Holly Berry Sampler, the 1999 Wee Santa, and the Steeple Sampler. So let me go to you. And pull this up. We had 82 comments, and I'm going to do a quick search because the word to use was smalls. And I'm typing in smalls. And it just popped up with one stitch at a time, 46.58. One stitch at a time, 46.58. Her comment was, loved hearing about the shops in Italy, and I vote for Sally Spencer. Thank you for that vote. Christmas smalls are the best, along with Halloween smalls. Also, let's see, I can't seem to get enough of either. And take care of Ruth. So Ruth from One Stitch at a Time, 46.58. If you would email me My email address will be in the description box below, and send me your address and I will mail out these 4 smalls so that we can help you get more of what you love done. Okay, guys, I think that's it. I've kept you long enough. It's an hour or so here. Today's January 11th, Saturday. I hope to get this all edited and uploaded, and thank you so much for visiting with me, sharing your valuable time with me. I hope that I showed you some things that were inspirational. Please root for me to keep up with my plan. I know better than to make a 12-month plan. I'm just going to do this, 3 months at a time, and hopefully knock out whips so that when I write my list this next year, it's significantly less. And the other thing that would help me is if I quit picking these BAPs. I don't know why I do that, but I'm just drawn to these huge things. They're gorgeous. I guess because you just appreciate the stitching, right? Okay, thank you. Happy Saturday. Happy 2025. All right, bye-bye.